Hey everybody, Travis here. Figure around, find out. Yeah, boy, my hair's glorious. Sorry, I've been dealing with a plumbing issue out in front of the house this morning, or today. Hell, it's afternoon. Uh, Not a whole lot new to report on the fig front. I haven't gotten to check it. Haven't gotten to check the gigantic air layer attempt on that fig tree at that church. Hope to check that in a few days. We got band practice. Well, tomorrow, I guess. Hope to stop by and check it en route to band practice. I had wondered how much activity we were going to have on the channel this season. How many videos of me up potting and, air layering, gigantic ass experiments notwithstanding. How many videos like that is anybody really going to give a shit about? But something has happened since I started the channel last year. This project, all this gardening, vegetables and plants and fruit trees and shit that we're doing, it started with me doing it to help my wife. Happy wife, happy life. And I mean, it was pleasant. It's not like she was asking me to listen to bro country or no kind of, god awful onerous task like that. So, I helped her. And of course, I liked the figs. So, that was my little area of expertise that I actually knew a wee bit about. Other than that, it was, mainly just me being her labor. But, and I may do a video about this in the future. I'm thinking about broadening out to beyond just figs, because since last season, I've fucked around and become a plant nerd more broadly in my own right. So with that in mind, and this stuff will absolutely cross over with figs. So if you're following the channel for fig information, all the agricultural information and gardening stuff that I'm using, no reason at all you couldn't apply it to figs. Especially if you're doing container gardening for your figs, which I don't do and won't have any information on, but, information on mulch and compost and shit like that. All our figs are in the ground, so take a pretty laissez-faire approach to that end of it, although my wife does feed them along with everything else when she feeds the plants and the vegetables. But back to the compost thing. I have started composting our lawn clippings and fallen leaves in this area, just traditional hot composting. We bought a bagger mower to make it easier to harvest the clippings. And trees all around, so leaves are no problem. So 50-50 green and brown, grass clippings and leaves chopped up with the lawnmower, and turn it every day, every other day until it quits being hot, at which point I let it sit, and I guess I'm letting it sit until next year when it's time to use it. In the meantime, I have discovered Bokashi composting, and I discovered it by reading stumbling upon an article on Facebook about industrial agriculture scale Bokashi being done in Kenya. But it's a hundreds of year old Japanese composting practice. And while it can be scaled up to industrial agricultural scale, it's typically, you do it at your house with kitchen waste. And the difference between Bokashi composting and traditional hot composting, the reason you have to turn it is because you want oxygen in everything. You don't want things to get anaerobic, because then it gets smelly. And anaerobic bacteria will break stuff down and make compost, but again, it stinks and it takes longer. So like, as things have been going now, we have our Cafe Bustelo old can here, into which goes various food scraps. And when that gets full, as it is, typically I'll take it out in the morning when I'm going to turn the compost pile and mix it in throughout that as I fool with the traditional hot compost. But Bokashi composting is anaerobic. It's the exact opposite of how you do hot composting. And I'm not going to go into a big detailed explanation. It's YouTube. You can look up videos just like I did. Just look up Bokashi composting, Bokashi. And there's all kinds of videos. So I've been perusing that stuff and doing some reading online for a week or so now on that. And today is the day I start Bokashi composting. And I am inordinately excited about this. So, trusting you to either already know about Bokashi or do the research and learn. What I've got going on here is a 5-gallon bucket, and we'll come to the wood chips there. Got a 5-gallon bucket and this Planetary Design Airscape with fresh port. Apparently, you can use these for food storage, and once you've put this over a 5-gallon bucket full of grain or whatever it is you're storing, you can inject nitrogen in there to remove the oxygen. But this also works great for Bokashi composting. This cost me 26 bucks on Amazon. This bucket came from my local hardware store. Shout out to Eastridge Hardware over on Ringo Road. And I didn't catch what it cost because I bought the shit I needed for that plumbing adventure out front. But that and this All Seasons Bokashi brand. This can be made from rice bran, wheat bran, all kinds of shit. But it is dry bran that has been inoculated with lactobacillus bacteria. More on that in a moment. Oh, I'm a son of a bitch. Yeah, the bag fucked up. Lovely. I'll solve that problem somehow after I finish this. Anyway, so Bokashi composting, I will talk about this much of it. Most sources I have looked at talk about doing your Bokashi composting in something with a spigot down here so that you can drain off the juice at least once a week. Usually every day or every other day. But I found one lady who does not do that, and I forget her name or I'd shout her out. She does not do that, and she still gets great results with her Bokashi. And another reason I think that works, lactobacillus, as I understand it, is the same thing they use to ferment sauerkraut, and sauerkraut is literally in water. So I'm not so sure that the water is going to be a problem. Having said that, I have taken some steps to address it, but I'll come back to that. But yeah, Bokashi, you ferment it for 2 weeks and then bury it. And 2 weeks after that, 3 tops, the shit is soil. I mean, rich, black-ass soil. 4 weeks, 5 fucking tops. You've got taken kitchen compost and turned that shit into soil, and good soil at that. So, pardon me, getting over a cold too. So pardon my voice being rough. Another thing that separates Bokashi from traditional hot composting is that you can compost every goddamn thing. I mean, every goddamn thing that comes out of this kitchen is waste, food waste, organic waste, can go in this son of a bitch. So where with the pile as I'm doing it now, meat, bone, dairy, citrus, chicken skin, shit like that, doesn't go in there. Not so with Bokashi. All that shit's going to go in this bucket. Ferment for 2 weeks, and then instead of burying it, where I'm figuring around and finding out here, in addition to the fluid not draining off, instead of burying it, I'm going to dig down to the bottom of our finished compost pile from the clippings, and put the Bokashi onto the dirt and then recover it with the finished hot compost. Because, and shout out to the Millennial Gardener here, who is another source of information of gardening practices and such. He has a thing he does making a compost barrel out of 32-gallon garbage cans. And he gets real good results. I did something wrong. It didn't work. That's why I switched to the traditional hot compost, turning everything. But his point with the barrels was he would use his clippings and leaves and shit and then supplement that with his kitchen waste to put the nutrition in, where mostly you get nitrogen and carbon, which are important, but you know, you need more than that. So he was adding nutrition through his kitchen waste. So rather than burying the Bokashi and then digging that up 2 or 3 weeks later and putting it in a bed, what I'm going to do is put it against the ground underneath the finished compost pile, which will continue to grow. We have one finished compost pile. A second one is about done. Once it's done cooking, I'll just pile it on top of the first one to keep weeds from growing on the first one. And then the second one will be protected by the third, forever and ever, amen. But my goal is next spring, when it's time to start the garden afresh, to have a fucking mountain of compost that I've got next to nothing in as far as money goes, and just a bit of labor. And frankly, the labor's fun. So that's a gain as far as I'm concerned. So one last bit of Bokashi nerdiness, and then we'll actually get into starting this process. As I said, I am at least going to start with not draining the fluid. Now, if you do drain the fluid, that's no problem. It works just fine. It still makes great compost. And the fluid can be diluted 100 parts water to 1 part Bokashi fluid, and make a liquid fertilizer that's apparently dynamite for all your food, all your vegetables and plants, everywhere you put it on. Well, I want that shit to go in my compost, which is why I'm not draining off the fluid. But if you do that, fine. However, just for the hell of it, we've also got a mountain of mulch out back. A local tree service guy, for $25, dumped off, yeah, you can see that, a mountain of mulch. And you can see there's sticks and leaves and chopped up wood and all that shit. Well, they had done the job. And boy, has that been handy in the garden and the flower beds and all that shit. But just for the sake of science, fucking around and finding out, I eyeballed about 2 inches of that mulch in the bottom of this bucket, just sort of to act as a reservoir for the juices. Maybe absorb it, give it a couple inches for the stuff above to ferment, as it maybe normally would in Bokashi where you are draining it. Now, because I have this rough and uneven surface here, I'm going to start with putting down a paper towel on top of that, so that these Bokashi brand grains don't get down into the wood and not be where I need it to inoculate our kitchen waste. So there's a handful of that. And this, I'll bring you to it. Yeah, there we go. Lots of coffee. Lots of coffee grounds in the kitchen. Compost here at Kilgore's Landing. But that's coffee, that's shit from the garden where she harvested greens and some of it didn't quite make the cut. Random bits of kitchen waste. I know there's potato soup in this motherfucker. Mashed potatoes, got to, who knows what. Now, that don't get filled up in a day. And this already has that, it smells like an open jar of sauerkraut. So that's probably already got lactobacillus in it from the air. But you just put, to start one of these, you apparently just put down a handful, wow, look at that. A handful of Bokashi brand. You know what? No. I'm not going to deliberately add fluid. I'm not going to dodge it like I've been talking about. But neither am I going to add it. Tell you what I am going to do, though. On a complete fucking spur of the moment idea. I'm going to have some Bokashi bran in the bottom of the bucket to go ahead and start the fermentation process. Kidneys. And just for the hell of it, I don't think I necessarily have to do this. But then again, I don't think it'll hurt either. Just sprinkle some more of that on top of it. Now, what that'll do, that bran stuff, I think this stuff might be rice, I forget. But it's been inoculated with lactobacillus, which, look on YouTube. You can harvest the shit from the air. This will likely be the first and last bag of it that I buy. Because I'm going to take coffee grounds for the next several days and set them aside and let them dry. And then harvest some lactobacillus from the air. Again, you're on YouTube already. Just Google harvesting lactobacillus or how to make lactobacillus, how to make Bokashi bran. It's all there. You can find it just like I did. But this will probably be the last time I buy it. If I'd have known you could make it, I might not have started this way. I don't know. But anyway, I'll show you this. Yeah. See that? And it all just kind of smells like sauerkraut. I don't know that I'd want to wear it as perfume, but it's not, you know, repulsive or offensive. Now, what I like about this, there's a number of different Bokashi buckets you can buy on Amazon, tutorial on how to make your shit. What sold me on this is this lid that I showed you earlier. Again, the Airscape with fresh port. It's rubberized, and I forget, this will go like 3, maybe to 7 gallon. But as you can see, it seals against the sides of the bucket, and then you squeeze the handle, which lets air out. I guess somebody might want to see me while I'm talking. But you press this down. Oh, I've reached the compost. And you apparently want to mash the shit out of it. Because you're trying to get, you know, the air out of it, right? So you mash it and the air comes out. And I am officially Bokashi composting. This thing has, I'm hoping you can see this, that circle right there is a vent, one-way vent. So if it starts fermenting and making gases or whatever, which I don't believe it should do, but it's got that to vent it. Now hold on. There we go, yeah. Try to get that kind of as flat as I can. All right, so I'm Bokashi composting. I don't know when I might have a results video. Yeah, I do. Probably when this bucket's full, I'll do a video of putting it under the compost pile out there. So anyway, yeah, there we go. Bokashi composting. It's a thing we're doing here at Kilgore's Landing. And see, check it out. You know, you just keep it in a cool, dry place. Well, there we go. So I'll just store it behind the garbage can, under the counter. So, yeah, Bokashi composting. I'm excited because no food waste out of the kitchen. I'm hoping for increased nutrition in my mountain of compost outside. And the Bokashi thing, although it's Japanese, it's sort of tied in with this Korean natural farming, KNF, and a related system called JDAM, I think, Jadar. Again, I have just started to scratch the surface of this stuff. But there are whole ass regenerative agricultural practices, good for the soil, good for the land, that are low to no cost. Again, you harvest lactobacillus from the fucking air. Cost you a little bit of rice and a little bit of milk, you know? So I'm pretty fucking excited about this. We have really shitty soil here in Northwest Georgia. Hard ass clay. Not much for drainage, not much for nutrients. We've got our vegetable patch rocking, but it's taken a lot of goddamn labor and a lot of compost to get it there. Hence wanting to have access to compost, because we need a lot of it around here. You know, we need to replenish the garden beds. We will put some around the base of the fig trees too, once we get this shit up and rolling good. So anyway, yeah, there's that. I guess the next video will possibly be an update video on the air layer. When I check it, if there's something to report, I'll make a video. If not, then that'll wait. And the next one might be when I dump the Bokashi under the traditional compost. So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on at Kilgore's Landing. Figs are going good. I've got 6 fig babies in pots, 5 of which are from that tree that we think is a black Italian. Pardon me. You've seen me in the other videos talking about fig pop and up potting fig pops and all that shit. We got 5 viable babies from that. Probably 2 of which are going to live here. At least 1 for sure. I may want to do 2. Those figs are really fucking good. But got those and a cutting from that friendly Bosnian lady I met last year, Fatima. It's doing well, and that's about it for now. But yeah, I may branch out and start doing videos about the garden in general, because, you know, I started with figs and branched out into gardening. Well, you know, you may do the same, or you may be just figs, you know, and watch these videos and learn shit to help your fig production, you know, whatever works. I'm here to be a blessing. So anyway, there's that. I've rambled long enough now, and thank you for tuning in and checking out the video. Like it, subscribe, comment, all that shit. You know, I ain't shy. I like talking to folks. So hope you're all doing well out there, and hell, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for checking this one out.